Yo, what's up guys, it's zaqq. Welcome back to the channel. Just wanted to go through all of the tech-free cruisers travel fit style. So with Equinox patch landing, I decided to jump back into nullsec because it's like a really good time for it. You know, everything's a little bit of a buzz for the null stuff, and null's like my OG home, love it. And yeah, I just definitely wanted to get back down to null and try some of these new sites and things and do some PvP with the guys. Shout out to Matt quickly as well for letting us join in control. Really cool guy. Going to do some small gang PvP with him. He's actually got a YouTube channel himself, which I'll link in the description. He's got a really cool vid called Beamers, which is all about like a beam legion. But yeah, you guys can check that out. Definitely worth a watch. But yeah, talking about the tech frees, we're going to go over all the racial tech frees, all travel fits, and there is a couple of main differences as I've been like actually doing it. It's not something I've done like in the past, to be honest, and there's actually not a lot of tech free travel fit content on YouTube as well, so I thought why not just do a vid on the way. Of course, there is a million ways to fit tech frees, so fit it the way you want. This is just the way I do it. It's sort of blanket style all the way across the 4 ships. But yeah, it's pretty defensive, and there is a couple of main differences between the 2 travel fit styles. We'll go into depth as we go through the fits, but basically you can either have like a super fast line time, or you can have a slow line time and be a little bit more safer. Again, we'll get into it a little bit more as the vid goes on. All right, so first let's explain actually what is a travel fit, because I'm sure there's a couple of new bros thinking like, what the hell is this? So basically a travel fit's going to give you the best chance to survive when you're traveling around low sec and null sec, and even high sec if you're trying to avoid gankers and things, right? That actually comes into play. So we're in jitter here, and if I want to go all the way down to like Astoria or whatever, or over to like Goon Space or whatnot, I'm going to have to go through low sec, and then I'm going to have to go through null sec. Now, a lot of null sec is actually completely empty, and you won't find like barely anyone there apart from sort of like the main systems. But what you'll find is in low sec, like especially the first couple of jumps, so if we just like randomly set a destination down here, you can see the first jump is obviously Tama. Now you can avoid that and go a different way, but it's going to be the same thing. Now Tama and the entrance low sec systems are going to be camped like a lot, pretty much 24/7, right? And if you're not using a scout, then you're probably going to get blapped at some point along this like low sec pipe, whether it be to camps or smart bombs. And the same for null sec. So the first couple of jumps into null, like this G-tac jump here, there's a good chance, because it's pretty close to low sec and coming out with zaqq, that it's going to be camped and bubbled and things. So what the travel fits do, we can use the interdiction nullifier, which I'll show you in a sec, to evade the bubbles. And we've got a warp core stabilizer to like remove points on us. And we've also got the cloak. And one of the best things about the T3s that we are fit them, and I think it's like the sort of meta fit or whatnot, is that all the line in sub 3 seconds, so you can just be out of there and like warping very fast. So you've got a really good chance of avoiding the gate camps. We can't use the nullifier in low sec unless it's a lawless system. So basically that's like a null sec system, because there's no bubbles allowed in low sec pretty much. But for the null sec jumps we can, and yeah, it's really handy. But yeah, the idea of the travel fit is just to be a cloaky warper and just align as fast as you can, and just have like some defensive things as well. Alright, if we take a look at the Legion here, it's pretty similar across the board of the way I fit all the ships. We've got all of our defensive modules, which I've just mentioned. So we've got our Covert Ops Cloak, which lets us warp cloaked, so we can just hit warp and press that straight away, and hopefully like it'll be a good server tick. We'll not get like insta-locked off some like carries or something. And having a really quick align time is key here, because if you use like a standard tech 3 fit, or even the interdiction nullifier subsystem fit, which we'll have a talk about at the end, the line time is just absolutely terrible, even when you're using like inertia stabilizers to help that. You've just got to like make your mind up like how you want to go, but this is the way I do it pretty much across all of the tech 3s. So very defensive. We've got medium newts on this one. We've got the parasitic complex, which helps the newts like newt more, right? So instead of 180 standard, we'll get 270. So if some cruiser, for example, in a Sabre, which is camping a gate, so 2 ships maybe, I could pretty confidently say I could newt those guys out and then escape. And we've also got with drone bay, which we're going to talk about in a sec as well. So you can fit like whatever drones like spare you want, but you need to keep in mind there's a couple of big nerfs that the actual ship takes when you're using all of these like travel mods, because obviously you can't just be like invincible and warp around nullsec like it used to be with the old way. So what this warp core stabilizer does, if you get pointed, you can just warp off if you're only like pointed by one strength. But this also comes with some big nerfs, so we'll get maximum targeting range bonus minus 40%. So you can see while that's active or even just fitted, we've got 28 kilometers, well 28.5 kilometers lock range, which is pretty bad. And also one of the worst things about that is that we get with scan res down to 93, so it's going to take absolutely ages to lock anything up. So if you do get caught, you can, what I would recommend is just pop your drone straight away and hopefully they'll auto aggro. And the drones we use is always like ECM drones. Now, another big nerf for having this on is the drone bandwidth penalty, which is minus 50%. So if your drone bandwidth's like 25, you'll only be able to spit out like 2 drones or whatever with this on. So it's a bit of give and take, and you can get around this a couple of ways. So the assault optimization for the Legion, I've only got fitted because of the travel fit. Now, the Legions we're going to be flying in now is all turret based, so it's like beams and pulse and things. The only difference is that if we put the liquid crystal on, which is the other variation for the turrets, we don't get a drone bay, so you need to just have a little mix and match around with the subsystems to make sure you've got a drone bay. And even if you can only shoot like 2 drones out, which I think this one can right now, it's still like 2 ECM drones, and everyone knows like it just takes 1 ECM drone just to get a lucky RNG hit and you can like be warping away to safety and cloaking up. Pretty cool that. So that's like step 1 of getting out of a fight, I would say. You can also have dual prop mine. You can, I was chatting to Babel in my Discord and he linked a ton with like 100 MMs, which is a really good idea, but it doesn't allow you to fit the newts, which I prefer, because I think newts over 100 mm, even if you're like burning battle brigade, it's still going to take you a while. So we'll have one dual prop. So if there's a huge like camp and you know you're going to get caught or whatnot, and if there's going to be bubbles on like multiple gates going and you need to burn back the gate or whatever, you've got like a couple options here. So you've got the mighty warp drive, which can be heated while cloaked now, so that's a good first option. And then when you get scrammed, you can just overheat your afterburner and hopefully make it back to gate. So if we take a look at the interdiction nullifier itself and the stats, we do use a Tech 1 version on all of the T3s we're going to be using here. And the reason for that is, if we just compare it a sec here, so we've got activation cost and we've got this one, which is activation time duration, and also the big one, which is reactivation delay. So you can see our T1 is only 100 seconds, where the other ones, they've got like a longer activation duration, but they take way longer to then be able to use again. So if you warp into a gate, you've got like 100 seconds to wait, plus your 60-second cloak timer when you jump. So there's a good chance you can just use this like sort of infinitely, if that makes sense. Now the interdiction nullifier sub for the Tech 3, you'd probably want to be using like one of the better ones with a high activation time. But really, I think if you're not out there like within the timer, you're going to be dead anyway, so what's the point? So if we take a quick look at the actual nullified subsystem, so we're going to replace our interlaced nanofibers, which obviously give us the faster line time and stuff. So if we switch this on, so if you look at the actual roll bonus, so obviously all the racial bonuses are different, but we get 80% reduction in interdiction nullifier reactivation delay and max lock range penalty. So we can lock stuff further if it's like got pointed out a long way. And also we're going to be able to use that nullifier super quick. So you can get away with using like the longer duration ones if you need to. But I think the nullifier one's like totally fine. And if we just put that on there, actually, we can take a look, because there is a couple of things which this does have some negative effects too. So if we switch this, let's just have a look at the attributes super quick. There, so a reactivation delay is 20 seconds. Now, that's like ample time to get to a gate. Let's try the Tech 2 version on, just to give you some numbers there. Attributes, so that's 30 seconds, which I think is absolutely fine. So keep in mind your cloak delay is 60 seconds. And with the Tech 2, you do get a bit of activation, like duration bonus as well. So that's not too bad. We get our lock range up to 34 kilometers. But what happens is our line time goes to absolute crap. So for like sub 5 seconds is normally all right, like when you're just cruising around and things. But for a travel fit, I mean, there's a chance you could get decloaked off a gate. So by the time you're like warping, hitting your cloak, there could be a saber like approaching your location and decloak you, or some guys might have some drones out or whatnot and come past you and the drones will decloak you. I think the introduction nullifier is like really good in itself because it helps you actually get to the gates and be safer faster, where you could literally use the nullifier 100% of the time every jump, right? So although the interlaced nanofibers do let us align much faster, so sub 3 seconds, which is like in terms of travel fits like the standard, right? Like as low as you can. I think 100-second wait for the introduction nullifier to actually work is absolutely fine in my opinion. So I mean, you've just got to judge it by yourself. Like, which one do you want to use? Do you want to be a little bit safer and like spam the nullifier all the time, or do you want to be safer from gates like per jump? That's basically what it comes down to, right? We'll go over the fits super quick. So we've got 5 medium energy newts, which will newt like crazy, 270 each per 12 seconds. That's because of the extra parasitic complex. Got the clone device. We've got a Sister's Core probe launcher, just in case you do get super camped into a like situation. You can like maybe find a wormhole or whatnot. But I would take some like potch vent filaments and things, or even some noise or signal just to get out of there. Got the nullifier, which we've just been talking about, the dual prop, and we've also got the large cap battery. Now this helps us like use this for a long time. 2 minutes with like 5 newts, which is like absolutely crazy. If we turn that off, we'll get 13, so that's pretty much basically cap stable at that point, right, with 3 newts, which is absolutely fine. I think if a couple of cruisers caught you, I would be super confident in getting away from this, like I did mention earlier. And the bottom, we've got the warp core stab and the damage control and the inertia stabs, which just let us get that like crazy align time. So even if we don't use 4, it's over 3 seconds, so we're going to be like server tick to the next tick, which could be like on 4 seconds or whatnot. You definitely want anything below 3, which is really nice. I think the Tengu might be a little bit closer, but we'll check it out in a sec. But yeah, that's the Legion. Let's take a look at the Loki. Alright guys, so it's pretty much copy and paste for the rest of the ships now. So again, we've got the warp core stab, the 4 inertias, damage control. That's pretty universal, bar the Tengu. For this one, we've had to switch it up a little bit because of power grid issues. If you put the launcher efficiency configuration on, which we do need because that gives us an extra little bit of bandwidth to use actually 2 drones instead of just 1 with the turret-based subsystem, which I would recommend like using this 100%. The power grid's pretty bad, so we've had to go compact on all of the energy newts, compact on the prop mods, and we've had to just use a medium cap battery just to get all this to fit. Now, if we sim it up super quick, we'll still get a decent chunk of time with the newts. I mean, 40 seconds. Let's have a look a bit more. So we'll get a minute with all of the newts running. So if we just like use 1, 2, we're not really looking for stability per se, if that makes sense. One thing I did forget to mention in the Legion part was the hyperspatial velocity rig. So these basically just make you warp super fast. So we've got a 6.9 AU warp at the minute. And the standard, if we take a look, is just 4 AU for the Tech 3 cruiser. So it doesn't sound a lot, but it actually does make a difference if you're doing like, what, 20, 30 jumps or whatever in a nullsec. And again, we've got all of the standard defensive things on. So yeah, let's not hang around. That's the Loki. Alright, onto the Proteus, which I think is absolutely the best travel fit. It's the speediest in warp. You can actually go over 10 AU a second with this, which is pretty nice. We'll get like an absolutely crazy sub 3 second align time, good inertia, and yeah, we'll get all the defensive things. Let's just go with the fit real quick. We've got a few newts there. Unfortunately, we can't fit too many, so we're trading a little bit of extra speed for some defensive purposes here. The cloak, Sister's Core, all that fancy stuff. You just got to work around the power grid for like if you want T2 things or whatnot. Got a large cap battery for the cap. Let's just sim it up there and see how long it's going for. So actually stable with this, which is pretty nice. So that's a lot of Newton power. And the other really good thing, bar the warp speed on this, is actually the acceleration as well. So if we have a look at this, so we've got agility and we've got velocity and acceleration. So we can literally punch into warp, which is very, very nice. And one last thing is the drone bandwidth nerfs. So when we're using the nully in that, you can still actually chuck like a full set of light drones out, which is pretty nice. So we can get like 5 ECs, or if you get into combat, you can actually dump some like warriors or whatnot. And in fact, if you want to go a little bit more defensive on the drones, you can actually still have a sub 3 second align, and you can put some like drone damage amps or something in there or whatnot. So yeah, a few options with the Proteus. And this is why a lot of people use this like smart bomb wise, because of that like crazy acceleration and warp speed. So they'll see a pod on the field and they'll see where it's warping, and before the pod's there, they're set up ready for the smart bombs and low sec. And of course nullsec as well, which still does happen, which I've got a lost mail to prove from a shuttle. Alright, and finally this leads us to the Tengu, which is probably the most common one, I would say. We need to fit this one a little bit different to the rest of them. So what the Tengu's got going for it is you can actually fit like a fair bit of tank on it, which is not bad. So if you do get scrammed at a gate or whatnot, there's a good chance you can burn back to the gate with overheated like invuls and things. You do get a pretty substantial bit of resistance and tank there versus all the other ones which are fit like with no tank at all. The only reason I actually put these mods on there is because there's not really anything else we can put there. Just to save like having empty slots basically. You may as well give yourself a little bit of survivability. So we've got the augmented graviton reactor, chassis optimization, support processor. Now this one's different. This is the only one in all of the 4 Tech 3s that we use the support processor in. And that's only because it gives us a little bit of a drone bay. Now albeit we can only throw 1 drone out at a time. But still, I mean, RNG on the ECM, you know, you might get a lucky jam or whatnot. In my opinion, that's actually totally worth using. You can fit the proper sub on there, like for the turrets or the missiles, but there's literally no point since we're using like newts and everything, so we're going full defensive, so you may as well use that support processor just for that literal 1 hero ACM drone. You just never know, dear guys. So yeah, that's the Tengu. No damage control on this one. Did put a damage control on, would be over the 3 seconds, which we definitely don't want. The speed's not too bad, pretty standard. Obviously Proteus has got that 1 in the win, so yeah, just a fair bit of tank and not a very good drone bay for this thing, unfortunately. That's it for all of those guys. Alright, just to end the video out here, probably not going to have any null footage, unfortunately, because I wasn't quick enough on the old record button, but I'll just quickly show you guys how you actually need to be using the modules, like in what order and everything. Remember what was said at the start, you can only like activate the nully when you've done a jump and you're in your like invul cloak animation. So let's pretend we're jumping into nullsec here. Let's do a jump. It's also good to have your modules grouped up so you can like F1, 2, 3, 4, but for this, it's all good. So there we go. So up top here, we've got our jump cloak timer. So it's not our actual covert ops jump timer. So what we need to do now, we can actually activate our interdiction nullifier, and we can also activate the warp core stabilizer while cloaked as well. So pretending this heron guy was a saber and we're in a bubble right now, and the next gate we need to get to. So we need to get out of the bubble. We need to evade the insta-lock saber or carries or something. So we've got a few things to do here. So just before our cloak timer runs out, we're going to hit our nullifier. We're going to hit our warp core stabilizer. Then we're going to hit warp, hit F1 or whatever key it is. You've got your cloaking device on, and there you go. That's your sub 3 second line time. So massively accelerated into warp as well, which is really nice. The hyperspatials. So that's pretty much it. And again, if we did get caught, you've actually got quite a lot to do in all of the ships, like my style of fitting. Again, these ships can be fitted with the guns on as well if you feel more comfortable with that. So if we do get caught, especially in the Tengu, there's a lot like more module management to do. So you've got to decide if you're burning back to the gate or you're going to like stay and fight. So you've got all these newts to use, you've got your invuls to overheat, your drones to get out. So it is a little bit more engaging just when you get caught, right? You've got to like be thinking on your feet, just be ready. And of course we've got that reactivation delay. So another thing what you can do, what I tend to do as well, if there's a gate that's like off scan, so we can't actually scan the gate for bubbles and everything. This is what I would normally do in nullsec. And it would show like a mobile warp disruptor or anything, or a saber or a dicta, then you'd know there'd probably be a bubble. You could actually do what I've just shown you to like an asteroid belt or something closer in proximity to that gate. So there might be a citadel that's like in range. You can just warp to 100, use that same technique. But yeah, just make sure you actually activate your nullifier first before you warp, or you definitely won't be going very far. You'll just probably end up in another bubble or whatnot, or unable to warp out with the bubble that you're stuck in. Alright guys, that's pretty much it for the Travel Fit Tech 3 vid. Probably missed something somewhere along the line, so if you just drop it in the comments. Again, I'm pretty new to doing the whole travel fits, but yeah, share your thoughts on my fits and feel free to drop in Discord or in the comment section your fits, what you use as well, with some recommendations for other new players too. But yeah, more null stuff coming. Like I say, I've been moving down into nullsec with in control, so I'm really looking forward to doing some PvP and things. pretty much set up right there now. And also we've got some skin stuff coming as well. And the actual next video is going to be a low-sec bomber run in a besieged I did with a friend and solo. So yeah, we'll try and get the hard drive cleared for all this null stuff. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I know it's been a little while since I posted anything. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next one.